Good evening, and welcome to Life's Balance with Shaman M. Tonight we're going to finish out our series of the body type testing results with the Kapha. But first, as usual, I wanted to give you some suggestions on your language, but I also wanted to touch tonight on some dietary things. It is coming into the holiday season. For all the doshas, it is vital that you watch your intake. For pitas, of course, eat every couple hours. Vadas, watch what you're eating. Remember that if it's in front of you, you will want to eat it. And Kaphas have a tendency to overeat and not exercise. So remember that if you get into introducing an energy back into your system, this time of year we get into the pumpkin pies, the homemade chocolates, of course the turkey and the stuffing and the hams and all of the plum puddings and everything that is made reintroduces an energy into your system. Now that energy is sparking in your body not only the holiday, which is about family and which is about joy, but it's also reintroducing a craving. It's reintroducing something that you want to continue. It's fulfilling a need. Remember, it's an emotional, because we only do this like one time a year. So if you continue to do this over and over and over again throughout the holiday season, like in the 6-week period, what you'll get is about 90 days to get rid of that craving. So realize that's 3 months. And if you keep introducing it, when you introduce it again, it's 90 days. When you introduce it again, it's 90 days. So if you're thinking that you have this time that you're only going to do this through the end of December into January, the first week in January, what's going to happen is that it's going to take you 90 days clear into April. Now, if you decide that you can go into February, you're looking into May, you're looking into June. You see how it progresses. So if you want to lose that weight that you put on over the holiday season, then remember it's going to take 90 days. Now, you could just, on the other hand, moderate your eating, okay? It doesn't take but a taste. You don't have to overeat. Thanksgiving, especially, people will get so bogged down with overeating and they stretch their stomachs. So moderate. Be wise about this and moderate, okay? Again, watch your language. Watch your usage of your language. What are you starting your day with? What are you reinforcing? What are you ending your day with? What kind of environment are you creating? Again, the holiday season's coming about. People are going to be out and about shopping. They're going to be out and about doing different things, driving. A lot of people realize that if someone cuts you off, or if someone's going slow, or if somebody, it is about their mind is in someplace else. Because really, that's what people are about this season. So be kind to one another, okay? Again, we are back to the body type, the Kapha. This is the last of our series. I did a Vata, Pitta Kapha, the first one, and I may go more into Vata again tonight. But mostly Kapha. The Kapha personality is a very very calm, very relaxed individual. They are affectionate and very tolerant by nature. They're self-contained, complacent. They're the happy-go-lucky individual. So they're usually cool-headed and reserved, but they are possessive in nature. Okay? Slow, methodical, sincere, laid back. They have a tendency to be kind of lazy. They are the type of people that will see, like if they're working out or if they're doing a certain program, they will see a little bit of progress as a huge amount of progress. So they're the type of people that can do just a little bit every time they do something and see a huge amount of progress. So it takes them a long time, but once they've got it, because they're very meticulous. But they have a tendency to get bored. So it has to pique their curiosity and keep their interest. When they're doing things, one of the things that they're good at is yoga, because they have such stamina to do that. But it has to be basic at first. It can't be something, because they're strong, but they're not so flexible. So it takes them a while to get flexible. So remember if you're a Kapha and you're working and you want to do different things, strength training you'll be able to do that. But once you're done with that, you tend to overdo or have sore muscles, and then you'll just want to sit down and not do much. So then you'll stiffen up. Then you get the whole, I don't want to do this anymore because I'm hurting. And so you watch the exercises that you pick as a Kapha, okay? Drawbacks of your personality. Your actions are a little bit slower, okay? You need a lot more motivation, like I said. Satisfied, but you progress slowly. You tend to become lethargic, dull, and lazy. Lazy is such an interesting word. The connotation of lazy is to negative, but let's put it in another way so that it doesn't reinforce a negative. Your mind tends to be very single-focused. One thing I've noticed about Kaphas, if they're watching television, they are so focused into that television that you can't bring them out of the show. If they're watching a movie, you can't bring her out. You can't bring an individual, him or her, out. They are locked into it. That's how keen their focus is on it. But that's how they are in their work too. So they're very methodical, which is very advantageous. They're slower to learn, but once they've learned, they've gotten it. Okay. So the strengths is they are slow learners, but excellent retention once they have it. Methodical, excellent capacity to win friends and influence people. They really are social individuals. Where Vata can be, Pitta kinda is. Kaphas are all social. They love to interact. They love to throw parties. They love to be the life of the party. They love to be out and about with music and laughter. They are people that love to do luncheons all the time. They love to entertain. Very rare do they have stress, frustration. They don't really get frustrated. or stressed. Interesting enough, though, their physical, one of their ailments or their diseases, dis-ease, their body dis-ease is congestion and sinusitis, which emotionally is attached to minor irritations. So to some degree, they have a definite awareness of things not going correctly, or maybe frustrating situation, but they don't physically get that way, but it does affect them eventually. Pure mind with realistic attitude and strong feelings, they really don't tend to, they like the justice, and they like to do things that, they believe are correct for not only themselves but society. So to minimize their drawbacks, they should avoid skipping meals, take regular exercise, try to move around, and this is a vital one for them. If you're a Kapha and you're a Kapha dominant, one of the things that you like is good food, one of the luxuries and the luxuries of life, including sex. They are probably the most sexual of all three of the doshas. So even if you're into doing that type of exercise, it's exercise, So your partner is always happy with that. Always set your goals a little higher. And don't allow thoughts to get stagnated. By that, reinforcing the same thing over and over and over again. Because you're trying to either figure it out or realize that if you're a Kapha and you're trying to figure this out, you're making small progress. And you see it as huge progress. Progress is progress to a Kapha. So your mind can get stagnated. It'll go over the problem and over problem and over problem again. And you only make little minor adjustments to it, and it can take a long time to get through to resolve things. Try to plan and complete the work before schedule. Okay? So to maintain your health, of course, do not delay or skip meals. Now, also remember, Kapha likes hot, spicy food. Very hot, spicy food. They can eat the jalapenos. They can eat and one of the Kaphas explained it to me. He explained it to me like this. He says, ridiculously hot, he says, is not what a Kapha likes. A Kapha likes a smooth hot. And I went, to me, hot is hot. But to watch him eat the Thai chili sauce, it was like, whoa, you eat that on he eats it for breakfast. And I'm going like, well, this makes more sense to me why Kaphas, don't feel when they nick themselves or have a lot of pain or until it's a lot of pain, because most of your pain receptors are in your stomach, and if you've got a cast iron stomach and can eat that kind of thing, then that kind of hot stuff, then it numbs. It numbs your response, but it numbs your response for everything. So it numbs your taste buds, it numbs all of your nerve endings, and that's the Kapha Dosha. So, and it's perfectly normal for a Kapha Dosha to be like that. They also get sluggish, depressed. They should get up and do some physical work. Get up and walk. Walking's really good for a Kapha. It's one of the things that, again, they feel like they're making some kind of progression, even though it may just, to others, seem to be a small progression. Any kind of progression is a good thing. I recently started some people that are Kaphas on the sun salutation in yoga. It's 10 steps, and it's a repeat. The last few steps are the repeat of the first few steps. So it's something that they can work on. That's progressive, and they can actually get every move down to perfection for them. So that's a great thing for a Kapha. The fluid intake for a Kapha. They're one of the people that if they drink too much water, it will make them sick. Their fluids, their tissues hold fluid. So they really have to watch how much water they drink. I know that in our society, one of the things that we hear all the time is make sure you're drinking water, make sure you're drinking water, drink about half a gallon of water a day, make sure you have so many bottles of water a day. That's not the case for a Kapha. If a Kapha drinks too much water, it will make them ill. And they can get diseases like edema, where the water in their tissue has to be drained. So again, watch your water intake. Avoid air conditioners. The blowing on the sinus causes more sinusitis. Stay warm. Dry heat is beneficial, where most of the Kaphas, their circulation is not necessarily good in their feet or hands. So once they're cold, it's hard to get, so keep your core warm so that you can get your hands and your feet keep warm. And one of the things that for their diet is honey. Now, these people have a tendency to get diabetes because they overeat. So what ends up happening is that the honey acts like it reinforces their joy. Your pancreas is the emotional attachment to joy. So honey for them, even though it's what they consider a pre-digested sweet, is like a little tonic to them. They can cook with it. They can have a little bit of it with peanut butter. So it's not something that you eat by itself, but they suggest to have honey in water. The whole thing about it is to make sure that you get that sweet, that joy, that interaction of energy, so that you don't get depressed. Warm, dry, light foods is the dietary change. Fresh meals, all the doshas really should have fresh meals. Preparing, the only one that can actually eat leftovers is the Pitta. The Vata and the Kapha should really have fresh meals. This is when you learn how to prepare for yourself or your family, and you prepare in quantities that are quick and easy, and don't over. Dry cooking, like baking, broiling, grilling, roasting, are good for Kaphas. Again, when you are a Kapha and you're Kapha dominant, if you look a lot at what they recommend for diabetics and how a diabetic should eat, they cover a lot of these cooking methods. They cover a lot of these different things with your proteins. With even when you do have a sweet, a natural sweet, you have to curb it with a protein or a complex carb. Ginger is really good for a Kapha. They can actually consume raw salads frequently, where Vadas and Pitas have a problem with the digestion of raw salads. Not a Kapha. Kapha can eat anything. That's why they tend to get diabetes, because they can eat anything. And they enjoy everything. If it tastes good and it's prepared good, they'll eat it. And that's just the way they are. So always choose warm food over cold food. Cold food's not good for a Kapha. It's slower to digest, okay? It's just like when you add pepper on your salad. A little bit of pepper will slow your digestion. A lot of pepper will speed your digestion. So the Kapha happens to like a lot of pepper. That's the whole thing. Follow your dosha, okay? Daily use of honey, pungent, spicy, astringent foods stimulate, anything to stimulate the dosha. I like to cook, when I cook for a Kapha, I like to cook with black pepper and balsamic vinegar, and it's one of those things that are really an intense combination that they really like. So avoid cold, oily. They shouldn't cook with a lot of oil. Fried, no heavy foods. These are, again, think about what they recommend for people who are overweight or with diabetes. This is usually the Kapha personality. You're looking at a personality that's usually built like, you know, they're usually shorter people, and they're really burly people. And if they are bigger people, they're still burly people, you know. They would be somebody that would say, oh, look at that person's big boned. Well, they're a Kapha. They have heavy tissues. They have a heavy construction to their being. So regular use of sweets, butter, cheese. Again, this is something that has to be avoided because they tend to gain weight. Dairy products don't digest well with Kapha, and that's, again, they can eat anything, but because of the system the way it is, it's slow to digest. And when dairy sits in your stomach, it tends to sour, so it can cause more problems. Refrigerated day-old foods, food containing preservatives, artificial flavors, that kind of thing. I don't recommend that anybody eats preservatives because that's exactly what it does. It preserves. But if you're overweight, it preserves your fat too. So when you get a layer of fat and you've got preservatives on that layer of fat, then it takes a lot longer to lose that layer of fat. Again, sauces, they say non-vegetarian food on the Ayurveda, but the Ayurveda diet is basically vegetarian. The book that we have coming out here within the next few months will cover different meats. Now, the reason that I'm putting that in there is because the the way we are raised and the conditioning that we have now, especially here in the West. We eat different lean meats, and we don't use, and not used to using the lentils and the beans and the different the soys, the different sources of protein other than meat. So we want to make it so that you can adapt if you want to adapt and have that choice, or if you don't want to have that choice and you want to keep your meat and you want to do the lean meat, then it gives you, according to your dosha, what you can eat and the combinations that you can eat. So again, avoid anything watery, like watery fruits, cucumbers, watermelons. Lettuce is okay, but make sure that it's not like the water lettuce, the iceberg lettuce, more the arugula. The diseases of the body, of the kapha, like I said, was sinus. Worms is interesting. Worms will house in a kapha because of the environment of the slow digestion. Skin diseases, asthma, bronchitis, hypertension. Isn't that funny? Hypertension when a person that's so laid back. See, this is what I mean by the energy. You may have the Kapha Dosha that's really laid back and not stressed, but there's also a subconscious energy that realizes what is actually going on. And it has to house somewhere in the body. So if you have these things coming up, like a bronchial, then what you need to do is take time to realize what your stresses are. I hope this series has helped. Again, it's just brushing over a lot of what's going on with the three doshas, the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and your body typing. The test is on my website or on YouTube under Shaman M. Have a wonderful week. May peace and balance be yours. Blessings.